According to recent supply chain reports from Ming-Chi Kuo, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, and detailed technical breakdowns from MacRumors and industry forums from April and May 2026, Apple is finalizing its biggest living room hardware leap in a decade. Confirmations include a massive jump to the 3nm A17 Pro chip, with outside possibilities of a bin A18, an upgrade to 8GB of RAM to meet the strict Apple Intelligence processing threshold, and a brand new custom M1 networking chip bringing Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6. This hardware, which brings AV1 decoding and potential Dolby Vision 2 support, has been reportedly delayed to a September 2026 launch window alongside the iPhone 18 Pro, strictly to integrate the revamped AI-powered Siri in iOS 27 and tvOS 27. A rumored tiered pricing strategy puts the fully spec'd model between $129 and $149. Think about the black box sitting under your TV right now. For the last 4 years, it's basically been a glorified app launcher. You click Netflix, you click Disney+, you set the remote down. But what happens when you take the exact same 3nm silicon powering a flagship iPhone, double the memory, inject hardware-accelerated ray tracing, and hardwire it into a completely rebuilt AI ecosystem? You stop calling it a streaming box, and you start calling it a home computing hub. We need to have a serious conversation about the Apple TV Pro. Because for a very long time, the Apple TV has been the quiet, almost neglected child of the Apple hardware lineup. The last time we saw a meaningful hardware update was in 2022, and let's be perfectly honest with ourselves, it was just a minor spec bump. It was a faster engine in the exact same car. But right now, the smart home and living room entertainment space is shifting aggressively, and the competition is not sitting still. Google just pushed out their premium Google TV streamer. Amazon is cramming generative AI into every Fire Cube they can manufacture, and Apple has been sitting back, watching, taking notes, and waiting. Now, the waiting is finally over. We are looking at a foundational shift in what this device is actually supposed to do in your home. Over the next 10 minutes, I am going to break down exactly why this isn't just another streaming puck, how it completely redefines the Apple gaming ecosystem, the hidden audio and video specs that home theater nerds have been begging for, and why your current 2022 Apple TV might start feeling frustratingly obsolete by this September. Let's start with the physical hardware, and what you will actually see when you take it out of the box. Because there is a very specific, intentional philosophy at play here. If you were hoping for a radical, sweeping redesign, a glowing retro Apple logo, or a completely new geometric shape that looks like it belongs on a spaceship, you might need to ground your expectations. The form factor remains that familiar, understated matte black squircle. But the real design changes are entirely internal. The thermal architecture has been completely overhauled from the ground up. Why? Because you simply don't put a 3nm desktop-class processor into a compact plastic box without heavily managing the heat dispersion. This subtle physical footprint is actually an incredible engineering flex by Apple. They want this device to blend perfectly into your entertainment console, drawing absolutely zero attention to itself, while quietly housing more raw processing power than a Nintendo Switch. It is the absolute definition of a sleeper device. You will never know the power is there until you absolutely need it. And that raw processing power is the entire narrative here. We are looking at a monumental jump from the A15 Bionic to the A17 Pro, the exact same silicon architecture that powers the iPhone 15 Pro, complete with hardware-accelerated ray tracing. Some supply chain whispers even suggest Apple might use a binned version of the upcoming A18 chip to streamline manufacturing, but regardless of the exact nomenclature, the benchmark numbers are going to be staggering. But honestly, the chip isn't even the most important part of this equation, it's the memory. For the first time in the history of this product line, Apple is bumping the RAM to 8GB. If you follow Apple's hardware strategy closely, you know exactly what that specific number means. 8GB is the absolute baseline requirement for Apple Intelligence. They are not giving you extra memory so your YouTube app loads a millisecond faster. They are giving you extra memory so this box can run complex, on-device artificial intelligence tasks without ever bouncing a signal to a server in California. Imagine the real-world implications of this. You are watching a complex thriller, you pause the movie, and you ask your TV in totally natural, conversational language, "Who is that background actor? What other movies were they in?" and add the highest rated one to my weekend watch list. In the past, Siri would give you a web link you couldn't read from the couch. Now, that kind of localized, contextual processing requires serious horsepower, and the A17 Pro combined with 8 GB of RAM finally delivers it. This is exactly why Apple reportedly delayed this launch to September 2026. They are waiting for tvOS 27 and the completely overhauled, AI-powered Siri to be finalized. They want the hardware and the software to launch in perfect, undeniable synchronization. But let's talk about the elephant in the room that tech enthusiasts have debated for a decade: gaming. For years, Apple has flirted with making the Apple TV a legitimate gaming console. Those of us who remember the dark ages of 2015 recall the painful days of Apple forcing developers to support the terrible original Siri remote as a motion controller. It was a disaster. That era is dead and buried. With the A17 Pro chip, this device is theoretically capable of running massive AAA titles like Resident Evil Village, Death Stranding, and Assassin's Creed Mirage natively on your television. When you compare this to a standard streaming stick from Roku or Amazon, it is a completely different weight class. You are essentially getting a micro-console disguised as a media player. Now, let's be realistic. Will it replace a PlayStation 5 Pro or an Xbox Series X for hardcore gamers? Of course not. But for the massive demographic of casual gamers, or parents who want a high-quality family gaming hub without dropping $500 on dedicated, bulky hardware, the Apple TV Pro becomes an incredibly compelling proposition. You pair a standard PlayStation DualSense or Xbox controller via the newly updated Bluetooth protocol, and suddenly your living room has a legitimate, high-end arcade setup. Now, for my home theater purists out there, let's separate the signal from the noise on the audio and video side. The new silicon finally brings native hardware decoding for AV1 video. This is a massive deal. Streaming services like Netflix and YouTube are aggressively transitioning to AV1 because it offers drastically better visual quality at much lower bit rates. This means less buffering, sharper gradients, and a definitive end-to-color banding in dark scenes. There are also heavy expectations for Dolby Vision 2 support, which dynamically maps the HDR metadata to exactly match the brightness capabilities of your specific television model. The one sticking point remains audio pass-through. Apple currently decodes audio internally, which strips out the lossless metadata for high-end Dolby Atmos systems. Whether the Apple TV Pro finally allows true audio pass-through for people ripping 4K Blu-rays on apps like Infuse remains the biggest unanswered question. But the expanded bandwidth of the new HDMI standard heavily implies we are getting closer to that reality. And speaking of bandwidth, the wireless connectivity upgrades here are quietly revolutionary. We are looking at the introduction of Apple's custom N1 networking chip. This brings full Wi-Fi 7 to the living room. Now, let's be totally candid here. Does Wi-Fi 7 mean your 4K movies will inherently look better? No. Streaming a pristine 4K Dolby Vision movie only requires about 25 to 30 megabits per second, which Wi-Fi 6 handles effortlessly right now. What Wi-Fi 7 gives you is extreme bandwidth management and reduced latency in a highly congested household. When 4 people are streaming, downloading games, and taking FaceTime calls simultaneously, the dedicated 6 GHz band ensures your Apple TV never drops a single frame. Furthermore, the N1 chip deeply integrates advanced thread and matter protocols. Your Apple TV Pro isn't just loosely connecting to your smart home. It becomes the undisputed, centralized brain of it. It will process local home automation requests instantly, eliminating the annoying 2-second lag we've historically seen with cloud-based HomeKit commands. We also need to talk about the physical remote and the pricing strategy, because these are the practical elements that dictate whether you actually buy this thing. The premium Siri remote is getting a subtle but highly requested functional upgrade: precision finding. By integrating the U2 ultra-wideband chip, you can finally use your iPhone to pull up an arrow and pinpoint exactly which couch cushion the remote is buried under. It is a delightfully small feature with massive real-world appeal for anyone with kids or pets. As for the price, Apple is reportedly targeting a smart, tiered strategy. The entry-level model, likely stripping out the Thread radio and the physical Ethernet port, will sit aggressively around the $99 mark. This is a direct shot across the bow at the high-end Fire TV and Google TV streamers. The fully unlocked Pro model, featuring maximum local storage, gigabit Ethernet, and complete smart home integration, is expected to land between $129 and $149. When you factor in the sheer computing power you are getting for under $150, it is arguably the single best value in Apple's entire current hardware lineup. Here's what's genuinely interesting about this entire situation, and my honest, unfiltered take on Apple's strategy. Apple has realized that the living room is the final, most crucial battleground for ecosystem lock-in. They lost the early smart speaker wars to Amazon Alexa, and they've let Google dominate the budget streaming market for years. The Apple TV Pro is their high-end Trojan horse. They are giving you a device with a wildly over-engineered processor at what has to be a near break-even price point for them. Why would they do that? Because once this incredibly capable box is plugged into your main television, you are vastly more likely to subscribe to Apple Arcade, upgrade your iCloud storage to support HomeKit secure video, and stay permanently locked into Apple Music and Apple Fitness Plus. The hardware is just the bait, the services ecosystem is the hook. So, let's bring this all together. We are looking at a highly anticipated September 2026 launch alongside the iPhone 18 Pro, strictly because this immense hardware power needs the overhauled, AI-driven Siri coming in tvOS 27 to actually function as intended. It features a desktop-class A17 Pro chip, a mandatory 8GB of RAM for Apple Intelligence, Wi-Fi 7 networking, precise remote tracking, AV1 hardware decoding, and true AAA gaming potential, all wrapped in a completely silent, stealthy black box. It is unquestionably the most significant, foundational leap for Apple's living room strategy in nearly a decade. If you own a 2022 model and all you do is watch casual YouTube videos, you probably don't need this. But if you want a seamless, instant smart home hub, bleeding-edge AI video features, and the ability to dabble in AAA gaming without buying a massive console, this new model is going to be an absolute game-changer. But I want to hear from you. Are the Apple Intelligence features and the upgraded gaming capabilities enough to make you finally upgrade? Or is your current streaming setup doing everything you need? Let me know your exact thoughts down in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown valuable, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives, and I will see you in the next one.